Good evening, I'm Blake and this is 5 News Australia. We begin tonight with a dramatic rescue on Sydney's North Shore. A man in his 40s has been freed from his crushed car after a serious crash on the Spit Bridge in Mossman this morning. Emergency services rushed to the scene just after 7:30 a.m. to find the vehicle completely mangled following a collision with a truck. Firefighters worked alongside paramedics using hydraulic and hand tools to carefully cut the man free from the wreckage while he was stabilized at the scene. He was then transported to Royal North Shore Hospital, where he remains in a stable condition. Firefighters moved in using hydraulic tools and hand tools and started to cut the vehicle away and unbolt various parts of it while paramedics continued to stabilize and treat the casualty. One of the 3 southbound lanes on the Spit Bridge remains closed, causing significant delays for motorists. Authorities are urging drivers to allow extra travel time with diversions in place, affecting the lower North Shore and northern beaches. Confusion surrounds reports of a shark attack during a fishing competition off the coast of Port Stephens. Was it really an attack or just a freak accident? Here's what we know. A search is underway for Sydney fisherman Paul Barning, who went overboard during the New South Wales Gaming Fishing Association tournament on Sunday. Initial reports suggested a shark was involved, but the association has now clarified that while a shark was present, it was not an attack. Paul Barning, a live member of the Port Hacking Game Fishing Club, was reportedly caught in fishing line and dragged into the water while attempting to reel in a catch. Witnesses aboard the vessel saw a shark in the area, leading to early speculation that the animal was responsible for the incident. Around 1:30 this afternoon, a Marine and Rescue received a distress call from a fishing vessel. The report that a man had fallen into the water around 1 p.m. and was suspected to be taken by a great white shark.
We are using all of our resources to hope for a positive outcome.
The crew had been taking part in the statewide club fishing competition more than 50 kilometres off the coast of Port Stephens near Newcastle. 50 fishing vessels immediately joined the search, along with crews from the Water Police, Life-Saving Helicopter,
We're just on standby, we're just staging, so while we're just doing the search, we just have all resources available.
Just a week ago, a group of anglers came face to face with another great white in another competition in the same location, the shark getting away with half of their catch.
He had his whole head on the back corner and the back corner was going down. That was a bit like, oh, let's get a bit serious.
Fishing
now.
Competitions are popular off this part of New South Wales coastlines. This was a 3-day event, a club versus club state championship. Blake Baxter, 5 News. To get more insight into shark behaviour and the likelihood of such interactions, I spoke with Leonardo, who explained the difference between a shark presence and a shark attack.
First and foremost, my thoughts go out to everyone on that boat and the family and friends of the individual who's missing at the moment. Look, there's relatively little information to go off from news reports, but from what information is available, it's thought that perhaps this man was pulled off the boat by a shark that's perhaps caught a tuna he was catching. It was a game fishing competition, and around that area there, great whites have been spotted. There's a great white nursery not too far around Port Stephens. So it is quite possible that a great white has taken his catch and tragically, as a consequence, possibly has pulled him into the water.
I mean, there's knowledge of this, right? That these sharks are seen in this area. Speaking to fishermen only last week about their close encounter with a great white. I mean, does sharks frequent the same area more often than we've seen in the past? Is it something we're seeing a lot more now?
Yeah, there's a mix of factors. One is more people in the water, so more people reporting interactions they've had with sharks, both the good and the unfortunate. Climate change is playing a factor as our water temperatures vary across the coast, particularly on the east coast. We see sharks move with those temperatures and perhaps into areas that they weren't previously or only for a very limited time. And then thirdly, because of social media and everyone literally having a camera, we're seeing more and more reporting, which can sometimes give the impression that perhaps it's more common than what it really is. So there's a lot of things at play here, but at the end of the day, you are in an ocean, a wild space, and it's the great white's home.
Should there be other precautions in place to try and prevent these kind of interactions, or is it just something you can't avoid?
Very difficult to say because, I mean, again, the information isn't there, but I would assume that, you know, fishermen, particularly game fishermen entering a competition, are very experienced. They know what they're doing. It wouldn't be the first time they've seen a shark. And again, it's just a very tragic and unfortunate situation where a gentleman has fallen overboard and gone missing. And again, the speculation is that a shark may be involved, but I think that's yet to be confirmed.
As the search for Mr. Barney continues, our thoughts are with his family, friends, and the fishing community. We'll bring you more updates as they come. We now bring you developing news happening off our coast. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese has reassured Australians that the presence of Chinese warships off the coast doesn't signal a gap in naval defence. Speaking today, he emphasised that the Australian Defence Force has enough resources with recent investments in naval capabilities. The ship, now 500 kilometres off east of Tasmania, conducted a live fire drill off Sydney's coast, causing heightened concern. Albanese stressed the importance of a strong navy for Australia, an island nation, and praised Admiral David Johnson's leadership. Meanwhile, Foreign Minister Penny Wong raised concerns about the lack of notice for the drills during talks at the G20 summit. In response, China dismissed Australians' concerns, claiming their actions were in line with international law and did not impact aviation safety.
Very successful in confusing and paralysing our government response by skirting legality but behaving dangerously and unprofessionally. You know, civilian airliners having to divert urgently because they risk being shot down is a problem, but China's got the government on the back foot because the Prime Minister spent a year celebrating his success in stabilising the relationship with China, and that now is plain wrong.
Do you think they're allowed to do what they're doing right now?
I think they can do what they're doing as they grow their military presence in our part of the world. So they've skirted the legality, and the Prime Minister's talking on their behalf, saying it's all safe and legal. So that's working, but they are behaving unprofessionally and dangerously.
So do you think this will escalate?
Well, China wants to grow their military presence in our neighbourhood, and they want to stop us working with partners in Southeast Asia. And they're saying that's the price. They want everyone to deal with China alone. We want to work with partners and allies. That's the problem.
So what are you saying, that we should poke the bear?
We shouldn't, but we should point out to South Pacific nations that are building bigger military ties with China. China brings this tension and aggression with them, and no one should want them to bring that into our part of the world.
Hard for some of these countries, given the amount of money that they've been given.
Well, but now they can see the reality of what more Chinese military in our local neighbourhood means. So I think that will really help them understand why this is a problem.
Its e-safety watchdog has taken action against the popular messaging service Telegram, fining the platform almost $1 million for delaying its response to questions about how it handles harmful content. In March of last year, e-safety issued legally enforceable notices to major platforms including Google, WhatsApp, X, Reddit, and Telegram. These notices required the platforms to detail what measures they were taking to combat terrorists, extremists, and child sexual abuse material. While most platforms responded by the deadline in May 2024, Telegram failed to meet the deadline, responding 5 months later in October. This delay, according to e-safety Commissioner Julie Grant, obstructed the watchdog's ability to carry out its functions for nearly 6 months. She stressed the importance of transparency and accountability, especially when it comes to online safety of Australians. Telegram has been given 28 days to pay the fine, contest it, or request an extension. If the platform decides not to comply, further legal action could follow, including seeking a civil penalty in this federal court. The delay in responding to these inquiries is seen as a significant issue, as the content involved can pose a growing threat to Australians, particularly vulnerable young people who may be exposed to harmful materials online. American Airlines Flight 292, traveling from New York to New Delhi, was forced to make an unscheduled landing in Rome on Sunday afternoon after a security issue prompted a precautionary response. The airline confirmed that the flight was inspected by law enforcement after landing at Leonardo da Vinci International Airport, and it was later cleared to continue its journey. While the exact cause of the security concern has not been clarified, American Airlines explained that the inspection was part of the protocol before the flight could safely proceed to New Delhi. Passenger Niraj Chopra, who was on board, recounted the tense moments when the captain informed the passengers that the flight would turn around due to a change in security status. He described the mood as initially calm, but said it shifted when fighter jets escorted the plane to Rome, leading him to feel a sense of panic. The flight is expected to stay in Rome overnight for crew rest before continuing to Delhi on Monday. Fire trucks were visible at the airport as the plane touched down, and fighter jets could be seen overhead in footage filmed by an Associated Press reporter. Despite the unexpected detour, Rome's airport continued operating normally, and American Airlines assured passengers that they would continue their journey shortly. This incident serves as a reminder of heightened security measures in place for international flights, and the airline has promised to keep passengers updated as they make their way to New Delhi. Welcome to Musical Mondays on 5 News Australia. This week we're talking about a show that brings colour, music and excitement to the stage. Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, presented by VTP. This youth edition of the beloved musical will be performed at the Morpeth School of Arts Hall from Wednesday 9th of April through Sunday 13th of April. Join Joseph as he journeys through his up and downs, all while wearing his iconic coat of many colours. This spectacular show is full of catchy tunes, from country western to rock and roll. It's a mix of musical styles that will have you tapping your feet and singing along. Catch the show on the charity preview night Wednesday 9th of April at 7 p.m, followed by the official opening night on Friday the 11th of April at 7 p.m. There are also shows on Saturday the 12th of April at 2 and 7 p.m. and Sunday 13th of April at 11 and 4 p.m. All tickets are just $25. Don't miss your chance to experience this unforgettable musical. Grab your tickets and support the amazing talent of the cast at VTP. See you there for a night of fun, music and dreams. Melbourne man has been charged after a cyclist was injured in an alleged hit and run over the weekend. 53-year-old Justin was riding along the Newy highway in Seaford early Saturday morning when police say he was struck by a blue Volkswagen Golf. Vision captured by a fellow cyclist shows Justin being thrown to the ground from the impact. He described the moment to 5 News, saying it felt like being hit by a freight train. Despite the force of the crash, he escaped with non-life-threatening injuries. Police allege the driver fled the scene but was later arrested. If we make mistakes, we're just gonna keep going. A 20-year-old man from Cranbourne North now faces multiple charges, including reckless conduct, endangering life and dangerous driving. He has been bailed and is set to appear in Newy Court, Magistrates Court on April 3rd. I'm so sorry, I didn't even know why I wanted to do this kind of stuff. I just wanted to do something with my life. So here we are, messing it up. So you can check the full stories later on the post on my Instagram, on the Instagram page. Let's just keep continuing. Pope Francis remains in critical condition this morning as blood tests reveal early signs of kidney failure. Despite his condition, the 88-year-old pontiff is alert, responsive, and even attended Mass, according to the Vatican. Doctors say he has not experienced any further respiratory crisis since Saturday night, but continues to receive high-flow oxygen. While his kidney function has shown mild failure, they believe it is under control. Vatican officials remain cautious, stating that the complexity of his condition. Meanwhile, prayers for the Pope are pouring in from around the world, from his home country of Argentina to the Islamic community in Cairo. I'm so sorry, this is live TV and I'm messing up. And school children in Rome. In New York, Cardinal Timothy Dolan acknowledged what many in the church fear, but have not publicly said, that the Catholic faithful are united at the bedside of a dying father. I'm so sorry, this is literally live TV, and I keep messing up. Oh my god. For more on this developing story, we are joined by Christopher White, the Vatican correspondent.
Yeah, it's Sunday night here still in Rome, and we know that Pope Francis is facing the gravest health crisis of his 12-year papacy. Yesterday, on Saturday, the Pope had a series of breathing difficulties and received a lot of oxygen, which has made the situation far graver than it's been to up until this point. And so every day, the Pope's condition is really minute by minute, hour by hour, as Catholics around the world are praying for his recovery. But the reality is it's a very serious medical condition, and he's an 88-year-old pontiff with a number of underlying health conditions.
I apologize, Christopher White. I'm kind of new to this whole interview thing. Is it rare for the Vatican to reveal so much information about the Pope's health?
Well, it took a week for the Vatican to provide us a press conference to talk to the Pope's doctors. So we were really relying on just small, 2 or 3 sentence updates here and there. So having a chance to talk to his doctors on Friday provided some real insights into the type of care the Pope is getting. Pope Francis has been notoriously sort of quiet and reserved about talking about his own health. So it's a nice change of pace and a change of protocol to actually have a chance to interact with his doctors, and I, for one, would appreciate that each day.
So do you think once the Pope has gotten better, do you think he will return to the job?
He said that he believes the papacy is for life unless there are rare circumstances that prevent him from carrying on. He said if he thought he couldn't do the job, he would step down as Pope. What we see in this hospitalization right now is a Pope who for 8 days, 9 days has been very sick, but mentally alert. And so I think his hope is to press on and return to the Vatican and keep pressing ahead with the job. That being said, there are various cardinals around Rome that have already talked about if he's not able to continue on with the job, would he step down? And that's obviously a topic that is ripe around here.
Sydney is gearing up for one of the biggest nights on its social calendar, the 47th annual Gay and Lesbian Mardi Gras Parade. Events have been running since February 14th, leading up to the world-famous parade this Saturday, March 1st. The march kicks off on Oxford Street at 7 p.m, making its way up Flinders Street and wrapping up at Moore Park by 11 p.m. This year's theme, Free to Be, highlights the ongoing fight for LGBTQI+ equality. Organisers are expecting around 250,000 spectators and 10,000 marchers across 180 floats. But despite the excitement, Mardi Gras has faced challenges. Last year's event saw attendance drop to about 120,000, and the rising costs and economic pressures have made this year's parade a learner event. Still, the spirit of Mardi Gras remains strong, with thousands ready to celebrate pride, visibility, and community. An Australian man has been arrested in Switzerland following an alleged stabbing inside a shop in Zurich. Anyway, authorities say the 28-year-old is accused of seriously injuring a 41-year-old man early this morning, Australian time. He was taken into custody at the scene while the victim was rushed to hospital. Zurich police are now investigating the motive behind the attack. Meanwhile, Australia's Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade says it's making urgent inquiries with Swiss authorities. A spokesperson confirmed from DFAT is aware of the reports and is working to gather more information. stuffing it up.